Hello, welcome to the 15th day of December 2021. My name is Kurt Bell. This is the Good Life Meditation, a daily reminder of my objectives and principles, a look back at yesterday and last night, and a glimpse forward at the day to come. Yesterday I had more optimism than I might have deserved. I went through the day with a kind of a confidence, through the workday with a kind of a confidence that, sometimes confidence just hangs on your head. And you don't know exactly where it comes from. That was yesterday. I had meetings that probably normally would have made me nervous, but I just kind of, I didn't even really prepare. I just did them. And they came out really well. Maybe there's something to that at this point in my career. Not really. I'm not doing any meetings unprepared. No, sorry. But I did yesterday, and it worked out. And then I had a really nice evening with my wife. Well, sometimes she and I just have the best time together. I really liked that. I went to bed a little late and I slept kind of well. My daughter was banging around, in the wee hours, trying to make ramen at 3:30 in the morning. Couldn't find the pots. She was banging around the kitchen. It made me worried someone was trying to break in, so I went downstairs. I wake up at 4, so now I'm finished, right? Because now, and even I'm very jealously guard every half hour of sleep, so that kind of unsettled me. And then I kind of got frustrated from 3:30 to 4 as I was thinking about, because I knew that losing that half hour of sleep I'm going to pay a price for that all day long. And I have an important meeting today. I'm taking the bull by the horns meeting, two important meetings in that regard, one more important than the other insofar as the main reason that the place that I work hired me. I'm taking the bull by the horns, and I've thought of a direction, and I've vetted that direction with a number of people, and today I'm going to run it by the team. Not just sure just how I'm going to do it, but I've got a half a morning to think about it, and I will. So a little restless and anxious this morning. Then another meeting later in the day where I'll get more information. So today feels like this. If this is the Anchorhold, there's me sitting on the rock, and the waters are not a storm, but they're certainly rough, and they're splashing me, and I'm kind of sitting there. I'm sitting on the rock with my hands around my knees, and dark clouds are everywhere, and maybe there's some wind blowing. And I'm also thinking about others that are on their rocks today. So you can see there's 3 people on their respective rocks over there. So that's kind of the state of the homunculus on his Anchorhold for me this morning. Kind of a rough sea around me. Let's do the good life. First, my objectives. The first of these is to be always ready to die. I am. 2 is to make good and effective use of time. So far this morning, good job. Except for, I let my daughter know that I was upset that she was banging around, but I didn't do it in a bad way. I did it in the way that an adult should do it when they're woken up in the pre-dawn hours by reckless. She had her headphones in her ear, and she's looking for the strainer, and she's just opening all the cupboards and slamming the doors, right? So I let her know that wasn't cool to do at 3:30 in the morning. But I didn't do it. It wasn't the Feast of Offal, so that's good. So next is the objective to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. To that end, I'm falling a little bit behind because I have 3. I counted them. I added 1 more yesterday. 3 new principles. That'll bring me to 30 principles, and I haven't added them to this morning routine, although I did add the first two to the book. I have one more I need to add. I just, I'm working hard. I don't have the time. The next one is the cultivation of good emotional reactions. I'm off to a good start on that. I was upset this morning, but I think I managed that well. A little bit anxious about the coming day. That's why the Anchorhold is surrounded by a somewhat rough sea. I'm managing that as well. Come to think of it, yesterday I was anxious in the morning. But I managed that well too. I was consciously pushing through it. I was saying, okay, Kurt, just hold out. Keep it inside. Push on through. I remember I did that yesterday. Kind of forgot about that in the morning. Next is the performance of good actions. Then the recognition of true limits and true opportunity. That's part of what happened with that epiphany yesterday when I had those meetings and those project meetings. I just kind of realized the direction that we were going is not going to work. We need a different direction. That's the true limit, and then there's the opportunity. And then I've got to try to sell that to the team. But I think that they realize that the direction we've been going isn't working either. Yeah. That's the leadership part that's challenging, right? When you decide, okay, I have an idea. Let's put the responsibility on my shoulders now, and let's try my idea and see if that works. Some people relish that. I'm not one, but I do it anyway. And a lot of this is, and I'll come back to the wisdom, and I'll get to that when I get to maturity. Then the last one is one thing slowly. Just do one thing at a time and do it slowly. Let's do the principles. 27, really 30. But first is the principle of war. To always be at war with everything that I hold true and everything that anybody else proposes as true as well. Second is reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt. That is the tool by which I ascertain if things are true, or attempt to, or at least come into a working understanding, an operational belief. Always tentatively held, never certain. Next is the principle of the homunculus, the little mortal who lives inside my head, the guy on the Anchorhold, right? You're not going anywhere. Dying with me. You're going down with the ship, my friend. Then comes the Anchorhold itself, the place where the homunculus rides out the storms, enjoys the placid seas, always from a little safe distance on the rock just above it. Sometimes the rock is slippery. There's a little seaweed up there, and when it gets wet, it gets slippery. Gotta watch out. The tide rises and falls. When it's rising, we're facing tough times. When it falls, it's nice weather. I can hear my daughter singing in there. I'm glad. She's still so young, such a young adult. Next is the home of good and evil, the list of things that we consider to be right and wrong, and a reminder that these things are opinions, very rarely grounded in. Well, I mean, they could be facts. Like it's a fact that jumping off a cliff is not a good thing for your health, but it's not a fact insofar as the universe proclaims it as such. It's just an observation based on physics. So I guess it is objective in that regard, but it's an opinion that's a bad thing. I don't know. That's interesting. I never really thought about it that way. Things that are consequent of the universe they are objective in that regard. But being good or bad, that's subjective, right? Because it's not like falling off a cliff and breaking your leg or dying is objectively a bad thing somehow in the universe. It's not like the universe sees that as such. There's some people who choose to jump off cliffs thinking that is the best thing to do, and maybe it is for them. So clearly it's an opinion. Maybe it relieves them of some pain or suffering that was otherwise unbearable. In which case, maybe that's good. I'm getting into tricky waters now. Something to think about. The next principle is the principle of purpose, and the three sub-principles of biology, having kids, virtue, living a good life in the pursuit of the well-being of others, and particularly thinking creatures, and some mission. The having kid part is the only real objective one. The universe really wants us to do that somehow. Or maybe it doesn't want us to, but we're compelled, we're impelled by our nature. Next is atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, atoms and molecules, and always returning back to that. Next is the principle of nature. Everything has a particular nature. I was just about to describe something, and now I forgot what it was. Something that related to that nature of things. Oh well. See, that's when the principle of the season of philosophy. When the words come, think about them or write them down. No, it wasn't nature. It was maturity. But I can dwell on nature in just a minute. It's the nature of young adults to be young adults. It's in maturity, and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. Okay, that's the one. And now I remember. Remember, I said in the one project that I'm working on, I kind of realized yesterday that the direction we're going isn't going to work, and it's kind of folly to continue to pursue that. I have an idea for a new direction, and that is based on the maturity that I gained, or not the maturity, the wisdom, if I can be so bold, that I gained from my last job when I had a particular project that I wanted to continue beating that dead horse. And an executive told me, Kurt, it's a dead horse. We got to do otherwise. And I was convinced he was wrong and that I was right. And it turned out I was wrong. He was right. And I'm in a position now to make use of that fact. And I let him know that I was wrong. I mean, I acknowledged that when I was done. And so now I'm in a position of making use of that wisdom, having made that mistake and not wanting to repeat the mistake again. And the fortitude to push past. The fortitude is the strength to do that. Like I'm going to have a meeting this morning where weeks ahead of schedule, I'm going to kind of I've already cleared it to take control of the meeting, to lead the meeting. And I'm going to, without really a good plan in my head just yet about how, spend an hour to try to convince the team to go in a different direction. That's a little bit why I'm anxious. That's why the seas look like this today, because I'm anxious. How the hell am I going to do that? Next is social principle. We're social animals. We need one another. And then the public speaking, to be careful about everything that I say. I'm getting really good at that, if I do say so myself. I think it's these daily meditations that really help me. Doing it aloud like this is really helping me out. I was in a couple meetings yesterday, and I caught myself saying, adjusting my speech as it came out, tuning it, even withholding it. And I know that was because I was being consciously aware of what I was saying and not just letting my tongue lead me around. Next is the principle of temperance and the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Temperance being the control of everything that we do. Like I said just a minute ago, tempering my speech. We can also temper our consumption of food and drink and how much we work or play or sleep or don't sleep or drink coffee or whatever. We do that, we can live a temperate life. And when we control what we say and how we interact with others, we avoid what I call the Feast of Offal, which is when we spew our upset and our restlessness. When we display this that's going on inside to the outer world. Like I could have easily gone downstairs earlier and, let my daughter have it and say, what are you doing banging around in here, and all this and that. You get the idea, right? And I didn't. I kept that inside, trying to release all of this anxiety and frustration upon someone else. It wouldn't serve her well, it wouldn't serve me well, other than simply as a release. And that's not fair to anybody. So I didn't. I tried to be more mature. Next is the distraction. We live our lives distracting ourselves from something, and I think that something is the great indifference, a universe without God, the apprehension of that, which is something that a lot of us, including myself, maybe don't want to see. Well, not so much myself. I'm throwing myself in there for the sake of fraternity, but I don't need to. I'm all right. I'm all right with the universe without God. It's been my resigned position since, I was a teenager. And I simply, realized they were making all that shit up. It was a tentatively held position, and it remains a tentatively held position. But it sure does seem to be the case, and after all these years, I can't see I haven't been shown any reason to think otherwise. Lots and lots of wishful thinking. So that's the thing we don't want to see. So we mask it ourselves. We mask that reality with work and play and TV shows and cooking and friendship and sporting events and everything until we can die and smother ourselves. We're smothered away, having never, if not seen, recognized or considered that the universe appears to not give a damn, incapable of giving a damn. That's what we distract ourselves from, the agency and the great indifference. After that comes the risk of the best seat in the house, an attempt to be happy with wherever I am and whoever I am and whatever I'm doing at any moment. If not happy, at least resigned or contented, or at most desperate, resigned to. Then comes the path of wildness. It's simply what we do when we make a decision to move forward, even if we're not completely sure of the path. So I guess I'm on the path right now with my project, right? Because I've collected the facts, and it's been about 2 weeks. They're assembled before me. I'm looking at them. I've met with people. I've asked them questions, gotten opinions, not from everybody, but from a good number of the team. And I'm enlisting part of my gut, and I've used some of my maturity that I've gained from past projects, and I'm using a bit of my gut feeling to say, I've got the two options. Let's keep on the current path, this way. And I'm thinking this way. And that's the path of wildness. So I'm on it. That's why. Another reason why the sea is rough. It's tough when you're on the path, because it's easy to find the course of a stream, leaves blown in the wind, a beast's track through the brush, and the direction of our first inclination. And those are scary places to be sometimes. Next is the risk of avoiding risk, the deep level and surface level risks of life. It's tough to do both. To get all the handsome accoutrements of life and also pursue our deep purpose, our deep decided purpose, and discovering that purpose and enjoying the adventure of living. Sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview: hope, faith, credulity, superstition, dogma, and authority. And maybe to a lesser degree tradition, and certainly gossip. And we live a damned life when we indulge in those things. And next is complete oblivion. The proposal that when we die, we're completely gone, utterly wiped out, other than our molecules and atoms, which they themselves will dissolve away and be used somewhere else. Although our energy might just go up in a puff of smoke, mostly. And we'll not see the people that when we die, we'll not see grandma again, or our kids. We will never have a chance to reconcile any differences with anybody. And whatever injustices were carried or executed, carried or witnessed will remain unresolved, because there appears to be no lawgiver, no justice giver in the afterlife. And even if there was, what could they do with atoms and molecules? There's little justice to be applied there, which is all what will be. Complete oblivion. And then comes the great life adventure. I kind of hinted on that earlier, having one or more marquee events in our life that become the focus of our life story. Then the season of philosophy, a time to record what we've learned along the way. The uphill climb, trudging upward, ever upward. I'm getting tired of trudging upward. And then the uphill, after the uphill climb comes bullseye aim, trying to hit for the mark, missing usually. Arena and utility. Life is this stage on which we perform, and we have our tools, our principles. And then the bullseye, nothing is enough. An aspiration to get by with less. So that's my good life objectives and principles. Now let's just forecast the day to come. I feel like I already did that. I have immediately after this, I'll do my solitude transcription. I'm tired. I didn't get a good sleep last night, as I said earlier, so I'm pushing through this a little bit. Fortitude. And then after that, I will take the dogs for a walk, feed myself, feed the dogs, and in reverse order, and then get busy on my day. And I think I can come up with a way to make a good use of that hour with the team to get my proposal across and see what they say. In any event, I'm just going to do my best. Well, I hope you have a good day and endeavor to do your best. I wish you all the best. Never be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye.